How does sitting all day impact your stress?
As you may have heard in pop culture, sitting is the new smoking. The science shows that sitting, it's not just that exercise is good for you and moving is good for you, for your stress, anxiety, burnout. It's that sitting is actually bad for you, and it can increase your sense of anxiety, stress, and burnout.
Wow. Maybe we should have ordered standing desks around here. Thank God we're only in here two days a week.
And of course you want to sit. And, for me, when I can never use a standing desk, I can't think right. I need to sit down and do my work and have my deep thinking. I wanted to share a couple of pretty alarming statistics about sitting. There was a study of 800 people, and the ones who sat the most, this is like knock your socks off data. The people who sat the most had a 112% higher risk of diabetes, 147% higher risk of heart disease, a 90% higher risk of death from heart disease, and a 50% higher risk from death overall. All to say that sitting is actually bad for our health, our well-being, and, as it turns out, your stress and burnout.
How does sitting trigger stress?
The mechanisms of action aren't entirely clear, but the data suggests that when you are sitting for prolonged lengths of time, you're stewing in your own emotions, so to speak. And so it's that getting up and moving creates a whole cascade of positive biological changes to your brain and your body. And when you're sitting for long periods of time, that doesn't happen. It also has a cardiovascular benefit, or rather, it's detrimental to your cardiovascular health to just sit, because a body is meant to move. Your body is the greatest machine. And so use that machine to do what it's meant to do. It doesn't have to be, you don't have to become an Olympian, but certainly getting up and moving a little bit every day, even if it means 5 minutes between your Zoom meetings, get up, take a walk, stretch, sitting for prolonged periods of time. Because think about it. We sit all day at work, and then you sit in a car going back home, and then you sit on your sofa all day. So the human body hasn't been designed to just sit all day. We are meant to move and move our bodies.
As a doctor, what do you recommend? My watch has that stand-up thing. I love it. I don't realize how much time will go by. And it's like, oh, I haven't stood in 2 hours? Holy cow.
I love that. I would say there isn't necessarily a prescription, like a dose relationship for sitting and when to stand up. And what's the dose of standing and sitting? Just do it when you can. You have a 2-hour meeting, can't stand up right after that 2-hour meeting. Instead of sitting on your Slack channel and responding to emails or doing all of those things, get up and walk around. There is something to be said, right? Like Plato, Aristotle, all of these greats talked about the benefit of a walk, that mental health benefit of taking a walk. And so it doesn't have to be this long, profound walk. Just get up and stretch your body, do some gentle stretching, some exercising, connect your breath to your movement, to your posture. This is really important because that's like a way to tap into your mind-body connection as well.
How can you use your commute or time that you're spending carpooling as a moment for reset?
85% of employees right now favor hybrid work. I am a hybrid worker, as are you, as are many people on your team. There are so many benefits of hybrid work: increased autonomy, greater productivity, and less stress and burnout, as it turns out. However, our commute back in the day, when we all used to commute to and from the office, it served two important roles. The first was geographic, getting you from point A to point B. The second, more important, was psychological. It got you out of home mode and into work mode. Think about when you're working from home, what you do. You set up your laptop, often on your kitchen table, because many people don't have an office, right? So you set up your laptop, you do all of your morning stuff to get the kids ready, or to get yourself ready, or get your dog or pets or spouse or partners, and then you just sit down on your laptop and you start your day. Or you sometimes just get out of bed. Hopefully you're doing the 5-second rule. You get out of bed, brush your teeth, put on some clothes, sit down at your laptop. Your brain loves compartments. That is why in 2020, when we were parenting, living, and working in the same space, it was very difficult for us to function because your brain needs compartments. When you are giving yourself no time to transition from home mode in your bed, asleep, to work mode on your laptop, your brain can't adjust as well. So what you can do is you fake your commute, especially if you're working from home. It can, again, 5 minutes, 2 minutes if that's all you have. Get your laptop, your workstation set up. Maybe you have a desktop. Get your workstation set up at your home.
Yep.
Maybe it's the kitchen table. Put on your clothes that you're wearing for the day. Get out of your pajamas. Head outside. Take a small walk. Go grab a cup of coffee. Look at your to-do list. Look at your schedule and your meetings. What do you have planned for that day? Take a few minutes to just map out the day, come back into your workstation, your quote unquote office, and start the day.
Why does that work?
It works because it honors your need for brain compartmentalization, while still you reap all of the benefits of a hybrid work model or working from home, the flexibility and all of that. The reason it works is because your brain needs time and space to transition. We are multidimensional creatures, humans, and we have many roles that we fulfill. And we have to honor all of those roles and each of those roles. And this fake commute allows us to honor all of those roles, but also honor ourselves in the process. And it gives you time and space to transition out of home mode and into work mode. And it's that buffer and reset you need. And if you can, try to bookend it. So at the end of your day, instead of finishing up that last meeting and rushing to daycare or rushing to get dinner ready, a lot of times what we're doing throughout the day when we're working from home, we'll say like, oh, I'm going to do the laundry and I'm going to do this at the same time and I'm going to do that at the same time because I'm home, might as well unload the dishwasher or load the dishwasher.
Yeah.
Instead, when you create that fake commute, bookend it day and evening, it creates a little bit more structure and it gives your brain a reset.
That is brilliant. And it makes so much sense. Like I sit here and I'm thinking, but I'm trying to cram it all in and I get my exercise in and now I'm running late, my first Zoom meeting. So I'm just going to leave my exercise clothes on and pull my hair up in a ponytail. And then I never actually pull out of that mode. And so this, based on how you explained it and the science and what your brain needs, seems like the perfect solution. Again, free. Anybody can do it. It'll take you 2 minutes and it will help you manage your stress. I love this. I'm curious, since you were talking about hybrid, what's your recommendation about video calls and stress? Like, is there any research or anything that you teach audiences when you're talking about like how to be on a Zoom? And I ask that because I've seen lots of recommendations about turning your camera off. And so I just wondered if you had anything specific.
It is a real entity. So during the pandemic particularly, there was an entity called Zoom dysmorphia. We don't ever look at ourselves that much during the day, right? And so when you are on a Zoom, you are looking at yourself. And so there was this uptick of people who were not feeling very good about how they appeared and how they looked because they kept looking at their faces. If it makes sense for you, shut off your camera if you can. If you need to be on, be on. My rule of thumb right now is that like just showing up is enough. You're on audio, great. You're present, great. I don't do anything else when I'm on the call, but I will often say, hey, do you mind if I'm just going to shut off my camera? And I cannot tell you, I am met with that such enthusiasm. Do you mind if I shut mine off too? No, let's just have a conversation. Or do you want to just talk on the phone? That would be great. So people welcome that. We all have Zoom fatigue. It's a real entity. It's not like laughable, like, oh, you don't have Zoom fatigue. Of course you do. Your brain is not wired to look at yourself all day, every day. There's something very unnatural about that. So it has been shown to have ramifications, mental health ramifications in terms of how you look. But if you want to shut off your camera and you feel more empowered and you feel like you'll get your work done better or you'll engage better by shutting it off, shut it off. More power to you.
Talk to me about multitasking.
So in that day of working from home, you do the fake commute morning. Hopefully you do it in the evening, but maybe you just do it once a day. Morning is more important than the evening. And in the day, if you are feeling like you are multitasking, or during your work day, you are multitasking, it's the way of the modern world. You have your Slack channel going, you have emails, you're doing your meetings. The thing about multitasking is even though we think it is a badge of honor, and, we pride ourselves on being multitaskers, right? Like everyone listening, you probably think you are an excellent multitasker. 100% of us think that we are excellent multitaskers. The truth is only 2% of human brains can effectively multitask. Multitasking is a scientific myth. It is a misnomer. There is no such thing. When you are multitasking, what you are effectively doing is task switching, doing two separate tasks in rapid succession. And your brain is wired to do one thing at a time. The thing with multitasking is that it weakens your memory your cognition. It decreases your productivity, ironically. It also weakens your ability to solve complex problems by weakening your prefrontal cortex. We talked about that area that is very important for our brain and for adulting, right? We cannot afford to multitask. The world is filled with complex problems that urgently need solving. So the antidote to multitasking is monotasking. Monotasking is doing one thing at a time. Now, everyone will say, people say this to me all the time. I mean, come on. It's like totally unrealistic. I can't even bring that science into my life. Monotasking, like non-starter. You can bring in the science of monotasking by practicing something called time blocking. You've talked about it before as well. Let's say you have 4 work tasks to do in an hour. Instead of completing them all at once, spend 5 or 10 minutes on one task, then take a short break. Then the second task, 5, 10, 15 minutes if you can, take a short break. So by the end of that hour, you have made headway on all 4 different tasks, but you have not weakened your prefrontal cortex in the meantime. The other important thing to note is that those brain breaks, we talked about the breaks. Instead of mindlessly scrolling, what do you want to do in those short breaks? Go for a walk, stretch, try some of the breathing exercises, be mindful and present during the breaks. In fact, a very fascinating study recently showed, they compared the brain scans of 2 groups of people and found that one group that took no breaks, and they looked at their stress at the end, and then a group which took incremental 10-minute breaks. And the group that took breaks at the end of the day had decreased stress, better cognitive function, memory, attention, and more engagement. And the researchers themselves, they said these short breaks were a reset for the brain from cumulative stress. So if you think, oh my God, what's a 10-minute break going to even do for me? Like I'm so up a creek right now with my stress and burnout. Try it. The science shows that taking these short breaks can help reset your stress. It gets you into that Goldilocks zone of productivity. It helps you with multitasking and gets your prefrontal cortex feeling strong again. It's all kind of connected, Mel. You know, at the end of the day, it's all just one connected piece of tapestry here when we're talking about stress and burnout. Everyone listening, you probably think you are an excellent multitasker. 100% of us think that we are excellent multitaskers. The truth is only 2% of human brains can effectively multitask. Multitasking is a scientific myth. There is no such thing. If you can do 20 minutes of a walk every single day, great. It's the equivalent of a Facebook scroll.